The pets featured in today's video have earned a reputation for being loyal beyond belief. They've saved their owners' lives, helped the disabled, and rescued people in need. Here are the top 15 most loyal pets in the world. Number 15. That's not a stick. Dogs are known as man's best friend for a good reason. They're always there to cheer you up whenever you're down, and will put themselves in harm's way to protect their owners. They, of course, rely on us for food, shelter, and for exercise. And if there's any time a dog will prove just how loyal it is, it's when their master faces an obstacle that prevents them from fulfilling this purpose. This video is the perfect example of a dog showing just how loyal it is. The dog and its owner are out for a walk in the local parkland, and as usual, the dog has run far up ahead and is waiting for the ball to be thrown to it. But there's a problem. The owner has spotted a snake in the path ahead, and it's the one type of animal he's frightened of. There's no way he can keep going with this obstacle, so he calls his pet and tells it that it'll have to come to him for the ball. As the dog runs back, it spots the snake in the grass and realizes what the problem is. It bravely picks up the snake in its mouth and launches it far into the undergrowth, as if it's no more than just a stick. Now, without any obstructions, they can both continue on with the walk and get back to their game of fetch. Number 14. Helping with the laundry. One of the most boring things we have to do in life are the chores, and so much time seems to be spent washing, cleaning, and tidying up. Especially when you've had a long day and all you want to do is put your feet up and watch the TV, it can be so frustrating that you're carrying a fresh load of laundry to the closet when a stray sock inevitably manages to drop onto the floor. That's exactly what happened to the man in this video, and he's faced with trying to bend over to pick it up, and potentially dropping everything else, or continuing upstairs and trying on the off chance to see if his dog will pick it up for him. You can almost see the thought process in the dog's mind. He's clearly comfortable on the sofa and doesn't want to move, but also wants its owner to return as soon as possible so they can lounge on the chair together. It begrudgingly jumps off, picks up the sock, and just as you'd think he's about to sit back down and start chewing on it, he instead runs upstairs with it to the complete amazement and surprise of its owner, who couldn't believe how loyal his dog truly is. Number 13. Cat versus dog. This frightening video was recorded by home surveillance cameras in 2014, and as you see, the family's young toddler is playing on a bike near the street and starts moving towards the house. As we cut to a different view, we see a neighbor's dog that has realized there's movement on the other side of the vehicle, so it runs around to see what's happening. It spots the child, who's oblivious to its presence, and for some reason either sees it as a threat or as prey. It runs up and grabs the child on the arm and starts trying to drag him away. Quick as a flash, however, a cat comes out of nowhere and attacks the dog. The child's mother comes running out to take care of any injuries, but the cat isn't done. It follows the dog around the vehicle and takes a defensive stance to ensure it doesn't return. It's an awful incident, and luckily the child only suffered from a few scratches, but it could have been a whole lot worse. If the family's cat hadn't stepped in to scare the dog away, who knows how it would have ended. It just goes to show how loyal our pets can be when they're put to the test. And if they didn't realize it already, the family definitely now knows what an important member of their pack that their cat truly is. Number 12. Parrot road trip. Most pets don't like it when their owners leave home, and given the choice, would do all they could to go with them. This is usually impossible, of course, because it's not safe or feasible to take a pet with you wherever you go. Either they aren't welcome in your office or the local stores, or there's a risk that they'll get lost and never find their way home. If, however, your pet is particularly loyal, then this doesn't need to be so much of a problem. This incredible footage was recorded in the city of Patna, India, and shows a man and his friend on a moped. If you look closely, though, you'll see that there's another passenger on board, his pet Parrot. Amazingly, there's no sign of a leash keeping it attached to him, and it's instead voluntarily going along for the ride. This must take a huge amount of trust and loyalty to be possible, because a parrot could quite easily fly off at any point. If you know about parrots, though, it's not actually the greatest of surprises. They're incredibly intelligent and loyal animals, and will bond with their owners to such an extent that they'll even cry and mourn if their owner dies or moves away. They are therefore a great alternative to having a dog, as long as you have enough space for them and are willing to make such a lifelong commitment, considering they can live for up to 70 years. Number 11. Welcome home. One of the things owners have to consider when getting pets is how long they have to spend away from home each day. Some animals can't be left alone for long periods of time and may start destroying your furniture when they get lonely or bored. But outdoor animals tend to be different. They're able to entertain themselves, but this doesn't mean that they won't miss you when you're away. Surprisingly, ducks show a high propensity for missing their owners once they've formed a bond with them, and the reaction when you get back can be hilarious. In this video, the owner has been away at work all day, and even though he's only been out for 6 or 7 hours, this is plenty of time for his ducks to start missing him. As soon as he opens the gate, they spot him from the other side of the yard and can't contain their excitement. They begin flapping their wings and running towards him as fast as possible, and then rub up against his leg and wait for him to start stroking them. It's an amazingly cute and welcoming return home, but you can only imagine what their reaction would be if someone they didn't recognize were to walk through the gate. Number 10. Helping with the gardening. Dogs always take a keen interest in anything you're doing around the home and will quite often try to get involved, even though they hardly make things any easier. This is particularly clear when you're trying to work in the garden, and it usually won't take long before a dog tries to start digging holes in your newly planted bulbs or start leaving deposits in the middle of your freshly mown lawn. There are, however, ways to get them to be truly constructive in the garden, but this depends on how loyal and helpful they're inclined to be. The dog in this video is amazingly holding the hose pipe in a perfectly still position, and it's helping its owner water a patch of mud where they appear to be trying to grow several bottles of whiskey. The dog's clearly so proud of how much it's helping out, and hardly moves at all until the owner decides the spot is wet enough and turns off the water supply. Is there any way that you think your dog, if you have one, would ever stand still for as long as this? Surely it means it's extremely loyal, since it'll keep doing what its owner wants, even though it seems to be for a needless cause. Number 9. The Lifeguard dog. Fortunately, pets aren't often called upon to rescue their owners and are able to spend most of their lives lazing about and waiting for the next walk. While many people have animals as companions around the home, others specifically adopt them for security and safety purposes, and these owners will often train their animals to know exactly what to do in an emergency. In this clip, the man is pretending to struggle in an algae-filled pool, and he calls out to his dog for help. The camera pans around, and we see that the dog has been on the other side of the house, but quickly comes running through the gate, runs around the pool to the steps, and jumps straight into the water without hesitation. It quickly paddles up to the man and takes hold of his hand and his mouth, and swims him back to safety. Once the man is up against the steps, the dog climbs out, shakes itself off, and turns around to make sure that he's okay. It's at this point that the dog is probably wondering to itself why its owner keeps getting himself into situations like these, and why he's not able to swim out by himself. Nevertheless, as the loyal pet that it is, it'll continue to play along with the games, and will be more than prepared should its owner or someone else it cares for find themselves in legitimate trouble. We're constantly adding more people to the Top 5's production team to bring you all the best content. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on and hit the like button. Number 8. Cleaning up after himself. While most people who have pets tend to go for a cat or a dog, there's a wide range of other animals that can be just as loving and loyal, and at the same time provide something a little different. In recent years, pigs have become increasingly popular, as they develop personalities that are just as fun as more traditional pets, and some breeds can be just as cute too. One of the fears, though, is that your home will soon start to resemble a pigsty, but that needn't be a problem. Pigs, once they've bonded with you enough, will do anything they can to please, and this includes tidying up after themselves. This video from an experienced pig owner shows all of its toys scattered around the room, clearly after a long, hard day of playing. It's almost time for bed, though, and all it takes is one command, and the pig, called Paul, knows exactly what to do. It starts picking up all the toys and placing them back in the toy box so they're ready to be taken out again next morning. The glee on the pig's face once it has finished tells you everything you need to know about how loyal the pet is, and surely makes you want to have one of your own. Number 7. Cat protecting its owner. Cats aren't known for their loyalty as much as dogs are, but when they see imminent threats presenting themselves, they'll do what they can to prevent their owners from getting hurt. This video, which was recorded in Russia, shows a young toddler who's playing with the oven in his family's kitchen, while his parents stand around talking to each other. They're paying very little attention to what their child is doing, and haven't realized that he's managed to turn on the stove. The cat is fully aware, however, and when the boy begins to reach up, it grabs onto his arm and holds on tight. This forces the boy to pull back and step away from the oven, and prevent him from suffering serious burns. Quite how the cat knew to do this isn't clear, but it's more than likely that it had an unfortunate encounter with the hot oven surface previously, and doesn't want the boy to go through the same thing. It's incredible to see that a cat will behave like this and help to look after a child, but you have to wonder how incompetent the parents must be that this is even necessary. Number 6. The best Christmas present. What's the best Christmas present you can remember getting? Was it a toy or a game or something more emotional? Pets can be forgiven for not understanding holidays in the same way that we do, but most find it one of their favorite times of the year, normally because they're treated to more food and things to play with than normal. In 2017, however, Daisy the dog was in for a big surprise when she was led into the living room and saw a present waiting on the floor for her. At first, she approaches cautiously, but her tail starts to wag as she recognizes a familiar smell. After all the sniffing around and tugging at the blanket, she soon finds out that it's one of her owners who hasn't been home for several months. In a sign of how tight their bond is, Daisy can't contain her excitement and hardly knows what to do with herself. She leaps out and squeaks with joy, and eventually, once she's calmed down, settles in for kisses and makes it clear that no matter what happens, her owner is never, ever allowed to go away for as long ever again. Number 5. Loyal horse. People who work with animals a lot will know there's a big difference between an animal being trained to do something and it having such a close bond with its owner that it does it instinctively. With enough treats and coercion, you can train an animal to do virtually anything, but it's only proving yourself to each other through thick and thin that you develop a true sense of loyalty and form a connection that can never be broken. This video shows how amazing it can be if you reach this level of trust and loyalty with an Arabian horse. Wherever the girl goes, the horse soon follows, not because it's been trained to do so or is expecting to be given a treat, but just because it wants to be close by to its best friend. It takes a long time and a lot of patience to develop a close relationship like this, but it's something that surely every pet owner should aspire to. Number 4. Guard dog at work. This video was recorded by a security camera in a gas station in Maine and shows just how valuable a loyal dog can be. 21-year-old Justin Ireland was sitting at his desk taking care of paperwork in the same way as he did most days, and he was alone in the room with his boxer pit bull mix called Thor. A man came to knock on the door to ask if he could use the phone, and despite having his face covered, Ireland simply thought this was because it was cold outside, so he went to talk to him. Thor was excited to see someone new outside the door, and Ireland had to hold his dog back as he explained to the man that it wasn't possible for him to use the phone. But as soon as he finished speaking, the man pulled out a gun, pushed him back, and demanded money. Ireland apparently realized at this point that the gun was a fake and refused the demand, but the man continued to be forceful and kept acting in an aggressive manner. Thor, the dog, has had enough by this point and jumped at the man. He bit him twice on the face as well as on the arm, and Ireland had to pull the dog back before it did any further damage. The intruder was so startled that he ran away and was caught on camera getting into a pickup truck that the police were later able to track down. As for Ireland and Thor, the event showed just how loyal his beloved dog was to him, and when they got home that night, he rewarded him with a giant treat. Number 3. Don't leave us. It's a sign of caring and kind owner when their pets refuse to let them go anywhere without following them, and you'll often see dogs walking as closely as possible by their master's side, no matter where they go. This form of loyalty just doesn't extend to dogs, however, and can be seen across a wide range of species. In some cases, animals will forego their natural urges and be well behaved alongside other species too, even if it's just to ensure that they keep on their owner's good side. This video, filmed in 2014, shows just how far this can be taken. The farmer is simply walking from one end of the field to their house and are being followed by a menagerie of animals. There's a small goat, 7 chickens, a rooster, and at least 3 dogs, and even he himself admits that things are getting a little ridiculous. They all follow him around the farm wherever he goes, and it seems as if there's nothing that can distract them. Normally, you might not expect dogs to get on too well with chickens, but their combined loyalty to the farmer means they ignore their natural tendencies. What's particularly problematic, though, is when he has to drive away from the farm. All of the animals simply sit in place next to where he parks his truck and keep a continuous watch out for when he returns. If you think one dog running up to you in excitement is enough, just imagine what it's like when all of these animals leap, bound, and fly over to get your attention when you return. Number 2. Doing the chores. Chores are simply the most boring things that we ever have to do, and seriously interfere with our ability to sit back and relax after a long day's work. But what if there was a way to use the loyalty of a pet to take care of all the jobs at home, so when we return, we can spend more time playing with them? Well, if this video is anything to go by, most dog owners in the world are missing a trick by not training their pups to carry out even some of the more complicated tasks. When his owner goes off to work, this dog also begins to tackle his list of chores for the day. He starts by going upstairs to retrieve the laundry basket, and then collects all the dirty sheets and clothes from around the house and puts them in it. He makes the bed, takes the trash out, and even puts dirty dishes into the dishwasher. Amazingly, he's not done yet, and begins to dust the tables and cabinets before lying down for a quick nap, so he's full of energy by the time his owner returns. Of course, he's normally not like this, and some of the chores are set up for the camera, but it still shows how far dogs will go for their owners. He still had to be trained to do all of these things, and there's no way he'd have done any of it unless he felt loyal to his owner and was adequately encouraged to do so. If dogs are able to do this on camera, just imagine what they can actually do in real life. Perhaps it's not too much of a stretch to think they could do some of our chores for us, both as a sign of their love for us, and also so it means we have more time for them. Number 1. Going beyond the call of service. Dogs are undoubtedly the most loyal pets that a person can have. That's why for thousands of years they've been trained to work alongside humans on farms and for labor-intensive tasks, and it's also why they're ideal for being trained to assist people. The most loyal and obedient breeds are used as service dogs, and while they've had their behavior bred into them from a young age, there's no doubt that they go on to develop an incredibly tight bond with their owners and will do anything they possibly can to help them out. You may have seen a service dog assisting someone with crossing the road, navigating their way around a store, or heard of them warning owners when there's a fire in the house. But their abilities go far further than this. In this incredible video, we see a service dog called Trooper, and despite being just 1 year old and weighing 90 pounds, he's learned to help his owner, who uses a wheelchair, in a way that only a truly loyal pet could. He walks in front of him, and when attached to a harness is able to pull the wheelchair along behind. He's even strong enough to pull his owner up steep slopes. Not only is this a brilliant workout for the dog, but it saves his owner from what would otherwise be an extremely tiring activity, and one that he would normally try to avoid. This dog's loyalty and dedication literally opens up the outside world for his owner, and without it, he'd probably rarely ever be able to leave the house. Watch our Animals playlist for more top 15 videos about animals. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best animal-related videos.